I don't know, let's take a step back. Let's go back to this interview thing. Have you actually set up anything with his friends or family at this point?
Yes.
Woo!
Care to elaborate?
I don't want to say more than that. Yes, but
Okay.
The blue balls, Keem, the blue balls.
Well, actually, I haven't mentioned this yet, but there is a little bit of a moral dilemma going on here. So, Augie RFC, are you familiar with him? He's a streamer.
Mm-mm.
Augie RFC calls me on his stream the other day, and he's like, "Isn't this a little fucked up that you're going to interview his family and friends? Like, isn't that like kind of like doxing or intrusive?"
Come on.
And I'm like, well, I'm a journalist. If I'm doing a documentary, you got to talk to people that know him. You got to get the story, da da da. And then like, so I'm dealing with this because it's like, I've always wanted to like protect content creators and their privacy, and the idea of like interviewing family members and friends seems so fucking icky to me. And so I've been like trying to figure out, is there another way to do it? Is there another way to capture it without being so intrusive? And at the end of the day, I always come back to, well, I need Phil to play ball. Like I need Phil to sign off and like actually be a part of this film. That is the only way it really works. So yeah, we have contacted some people. We have set up some stuff. We don't have shoot times or anything like that, but you know, we have agreements to put together. I actually have to fly there to sit down with these people because I don't want to do any internet stuff. If I'm making a film, like I want to be there, just like the Wings and Boogie thing that I did.
Right, it's a good decision. Can I chime in on that? Because I don't think that there's, so from a journalistic standpoint, right, what you do is you exhaust your resources. You exhaust your resources to tell the best story you could possibly tell in the most objective way you can possibly do it, right? You've reached out to Phil. Phil doesn't want to be a part of it. So you're going to tell the best story you can tell through the assets that you have. If that's friends, if that's family, if it's the guy at the coffee shop who serves them every Tuesday, then you do that. I don't think there's any moral issue with that.
Craig.
Personally, I think
Facts.
that as a journalist, if that's the cap that you wear as a journalist cap, I think that is something that's part of the obligation, is to chase the story as best as you can until the story dries up.
100%. You're 100% right. But then there's this other element of like the YouTube community and YouTubers and how they look at that. And they would be like, that's fucked up. You know, that's too intrusive. Like I wouldn't want some journalists interviewing my family members or, you know, my significant others and neighbors and shit like that. That's just like crossing a line to them. So it's this like weird thing that I've been juggling for the last couple of days, to be honest.
Yeah, I hear that. Well, keep us updated. I'm sure a lot of people are very interested in the idea. And I don't know, like I said, for me personally, I have a journalistic background. I have this degree and stuff. And I've been in newsrooms. I've seen it. But I don't think there's really
Craig is an
that
official
big an issue. But I understand the perspective from a YouTuber perspective for sure.
I had this like dream that he would see the Wings Boogie fight and he'd be like, okay, Keem's legit. Maybe I should work with him and do some stuff. But that's not what happened. I started seeing clips where he was like banning anybody that talked about their fight. Like their fighting had nothing to do with DSP, and he was banning people. So it's just it's crazy how off his rocker he really is. And I don't know how to communicate. Like I have no way to actually have a conversation with him. When he was on your show and me and him were talking back and forth, I was like, this is calm, this is settled, like there's no beef anymore. And then he's right back on his show where he's the king and he's in control and he's the only one in control and he's talking shit about me again. I'm like, what the fuck is this?
Well, you know, I think coming out of that fight, the Wings Boogie fight.
TMG, what I said is that if he won't do
Wings
it without
obviously
Phil's consent, then it's not going to happen.
Just from a perception standpoint, you know, it's the thing is it's his redemption arc, the Wings of Redemption arc, right? And Boogie has at least owned the idea that he got his shit kicked in, right? And I think that it's funny, and he's like, yeah, man, I got my ass kicked. That's fine. And Wings put out a tweet that said, like, really, you know, I may have got beat up, but the biggest loser was DSP here because he's the one who, you know, sat back and
you said Wings, but you meant Boogie. But
yeah, I'm sorry. Yes. I apologize. Yeah. But and then you saw, you know, action like this where, you know, the money rolled in for for Wings the other night on his stream, and like good for
Wings
him.
made him
I
with
think that's
2K.
a wonderful
He almost made
thing
him with 2K.
for that success. But speaking of Boogie, you had an interview with him recently, and it was just at the very tail end of the interview, and you talked a lot about mental health. You talked about your retirement.
He's always talking about mental health.
I think you didn't want to hand off Drama Alert because you couldn't find the right person to do it. But I want to dig into this mental health thing. Do you think that it's healthy? Obviously, being a creator online is very, very hard. It's taxing. People don't really realize the amount of hours that go into editing videos and just growing a business from nothing, right? Do you feel that the mental health aspect of creating online is worth it?
I think people are so different. Like, so for a very long time, I didn't understand mental health. Like, I didn't get it. I believe that like everyone's sad. Everyone's sad from time to time. Everyone's happy. That's normal. Press, like, stop being a pussy, So it's taken me a while, and I've dealt with different YouTubers who are suicidal or whatever, and I'm on the phone with them trying to walk them off the ledge. Boogie so many times, and I'm only saying that because he's publicly said it so many times. Wait, what was the question?
Just about mental health as a whole, and as a content creator, being in a public spotlight. Once you reach a certain audience, you have a lot of people looking at you, expectations, and it's almost like you have become a celebrity in a very niche audience for a lot of people, and sometimes a larger audience. And there's expectations which can ultimately weigh on your mental health.
Well, there was a time where you could make a mistake and you could fuck up and whatever, you learn from that and everyone forgets it. On the internet, nobody forgets it, right? Like, I'm constantly being hit up with, you called Alex the N-word, or you did this, or you did that. Like, any mistake I've ever made. Wings and Boogie have to deal with the same thing. DSP has to deal with the same thing. Anybody in the spotlight. And I can see how that would, drive somebody to have a lot of mental issues and whatnot. But it's like, at the end of the day, you have to make peace with up for. Like, you are going on stage and you're tap dancing. The audience has every right to grab tomatoes and throw them at your fucking head every single day. And, a lot of people get real selfish and they're like, and this is not right, and this is not fair, and da-da-da-da. You signed up for it. You signed up for this. So, in a lot of those scenarios, if people can't handle it, they should leave. They should leave. They should not be online. But we don't see that, do we? No. We see somebody struggling and then they're staying online, and they're still struggling and they're staying on live, and they don't leave.
What are your thoughts on cancel culture?